Hey, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege best settings. So first of all, if you haven't tried this, launch your game in Vulkan. I've experienced where it had a lot, I have a lot more FPS when I launched it in Vulkan. So if you're struggling with some low FPS issues, definitely launch it in Vulkan, or at least try it out. Now that you're actually in the settings, we'll start with the General tab. So for squad privacy, open to friends or invite only. That's completely up to you. If you want people to just be able to join your lobby, go ahead and put it open to friends. If not, invite to lobby, or invite only, sorry. Matchmaking preferences, this really doesn't do much at all. So right here I just have everything on off. Absolutely everything. And it won't change your gameplay at all. Actually though, if you have everything off, it's good to have these two off because bomb's the competitive game mode. So just that's defaulted to on. Now for ping, you're gonna want to have this ping on because it's how your teammates will communicate with you without using their mic. So make sure to have this on. Display game info, I typically leave this off because I just don't like having that extra distraction while I'm playing. So I just leave that off. I leave cycle inside camera groups on just so I can cycle through the cameras really fast. It literally says it in the name, cycle inside camera groups. Drone after prep, I have this on manual because, okay, so I don't know if any of y'all have experimented with this, but now they have it to where when the drone phase ends, you stay in your drone if you have it set to semi-automatic or manual. Semi-automatic, it only stays in the drone phase when, you only stay on your drone when you're on your own drone. But on manual, you will stay in the drone as long as there's a drone active and then you're viewing through it. So I leave this on manual, so if I want to get a little more intel before I go actually start the round, I have that. And then this is for PC, but for PC chat channel, I have it on all. I'd recommend putting it on disabled if you're looking for the least amount of distractions. Alright, now that we're in the audio tab, let's go over a few things. So spoken language, yeah, you're just going to want to select your language, obviously. There's not much to explain about that. Subtitle, I have these off just because I don't like to have anything pop up on my screen that's unnecessary, to be honest with you. Master volume, this is definitely dependent on your headset and how your how your audio setup is. I have mine at 100. Music, heck no, I have it at 0. That's annoying. 0. Dialogue volume, this is I have it on 0. It doesn't make a difference to me. Now this is something that could make a difference to you. This is the dynamic range. So there's hi-fi, TV, and night mode. I have mine on night mode just because that's the one I've enjoyed the sound on with my headset the most, but this you'll have to experiment with and try it out with your audio setup specifically. The voice chat volume, I keep it as high as possible because I like to hear call outs from my teammates. This is mainly a PC thing because I don't think console users really have mics that often. Mute on unfocused. Okay, so this is when you alt tab out of the game or anything like that, it'll mute the game sound so you don't have to sit there listening to, if you had the music on, the music or anything like that. I go ahead and turn this on so I'm not having the sound in the background blaring the whole time. Voice chat record mode. Okay, so on this is kind of dependent on how you'd like it. I have mine on push to talk because I'm usually in a Discord, so I don't want the other randoms just hearing everything I'm saying to my teammates because I might be talking some smack on them, so kind of a thing. But it's definitely up to you. I just at least have it on, so I put on push to talk so that way if you really want to give callouts and stuff, you can, but if not, you don't have to. The voice chat record level, this is completely up to you as well. I mean, not up to you, but this is more dependent on your audio setup. So I have a Yeti Blue Snowball, and these are my settings for this. Alright, so now we're in the display settings. This is where it starts to get a little more in depth. So for your monitor, you obviously want to select your main monitor, and mine happens to be an ultra wide. So my stuff's going to be a little different, but I'll talk through that. So for resolution, you're going to want to set this to the highest setting that supports the highest refresh rate and also what your computer can run. So for me, it's 3440 by 1440, and I keep mine on 144 hertz because that's the highest refresh rate that it offers. And you want to have the highest resolution that allows you to get above 144 hertz, because that way you have the most clarity in your image and you still have the highest refresh rate. For the display mode, I'd recommend putting it on full screen unless you're just constantly getting out of your rainbow tab, I guess is what you could call it. Because full screen offers the most FPS and will help you so much. Like, it gives you way more FPS, I promise. Refresh rate, obviously, the highest you can get it. So for aspect ratio, this is where it starts to be kind of confusing. So I'm sure for most people who don't have a ultra wide monitor, they have a 16:9 or aspect ratio, and a lot of people, this is what it's defaulted to on most people's monitors. So what I recommend trying out, now it's not going to be perfect right when you start it, is switching it to 4:3. So what 4:3 does is it's going to make it look a little ugly at first, and you're going to be like, what the heck is this? But it stretches everything out, like horizontally. So heads on the game become a lot wider and a lot easier to shoot. And a lot of there's quite a few pros that use this setting. So I'd give it a try if you haven't. For me, I just have it on auto. I have a 21:9 aspect ratio. So if I have it on 4:3, it's nasty, just disgusting. So I have it on auto. But here's also where your hardware depends on what you have for this setting. So if you have an AMD graphics card and a FreeSync monitor, you're going to have VSync on because that'll enable AMD's FreeSync technology. Now, if you have an NVIDIA card and a G-Sync monitor or one of the compatible FreeSync monitors, you're going to leave this off and enable it in the NVIDIA settings. As for widescreen letterbox, I just have it off because the game will render in 16:9, so it's with my aspect ratio, it doesn't really matter. All right, field of view. This is what a lot of players forget to set, or I've seen a lot of players that have forgot to set this. I would recommend turning it up to 90, but if that's a little too much, you can scale it down to like 85, 86, 87, anything that feels comfortable, but I'd keep it above 85 for sure. And then for calibration, this is just dependent on your monitor. You want to set the brightness for, obviously it says adjust slider till both logos are clearly visible, so you can work with that. And you'll also have to work with your monitor settings a little bit anyways as well. Alright, now we're in the graphics tab. And this has a ton of settings, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now, if you're truly looking for the most competitive experience, just go ahead, go to custom, and set everything to low and off. And then right when you get here, if you've launched it in Vulkan, you'll have this adaptive render scaling target FPS. And I set mine just a little bit higher than 144, just so I can make sure I don't have any frame drops that drop below 144. And the TEA sharpness, I typically keep on 50, anywhere at 50 and above. A little bit less than, anything lower than 50 and it starts to look pretty ugly. So make sure it's on 50 and above. But honestly, just configure your settings to where you get the highest FPS, or at least 144 FPS. Alright, now finally we have the controls tab. And for raw input, mouse and keyboard, you're going to have that on, so that way you have the most, obviously, reactivity. Mouse look conversion disabled. And then for your horizontal and vertical sensitivities, those are kind of dependent on you, what you like. For me, I'll let you know I have a 450 DPI mouse set, or my mouse is set to 450 DPI. So I have an 11 horizontal sends and 11 vertical sends, and then my aim down sights is a 70. So basically the aim down sights is like a percentage of your actual sensitivity. So it's running at 70% of 11 sends, basically. Now on the mouse scroll, this is dependent on what your controls are, but I scroll for weapons, so I have that enabled. Gadget deployment, you want to put this on advanced, so you have the most control of when to place it and when to pull it off. Drone placement or deployment, you also want to have that on advanced, because this is where you can throw a drone and you don't automatically get onto your drone, so you can bait out people or you just won't get shot right when you get on your drone. Now for aim, this is kind of up to you, but I like to keep mine on hold. That's just what I've been playing on for my whole life. Maybe some of you PUBG players will find that toggle's nice, but I'm just not a big fan of it. Lean I do have on toggle, so I don't have to worry about holding my finger down the whole time while I'm leaning or holding an angle or anything like that. For sprint, I have that on hold actually, so I have a little bit more control of when I want to start sprinting and stop sprinting. Because when you put it on toggle, you might accidentally click it, start sprinting, and then you'll end up in a pretty bad situation. Crouch, I have that on toggle, so when I crouch, I can just stay there and hold an angle without having to keep my finger on the button. But this is kind of up to you. Prone, I have this on toggle because I don't like my prone buttons on my mouse. I really don't like holding any extra buttons when I'm trying to aim or anything like that. Now walk, I have this is kind of like similar to sprint, so I have that on hold. And then for controller options, I'm not a big console player at all, but look conversion you obviously want disabled. Vibration, you want to have that onto disabled, so that way you don't have to worry about the vibration messing up your aim. Vertical sensitivity and horizontal sensitivity, it's all the ways up to you. Now the left and right stick dead zones, I'd keep those on 5 or below, or I guess 5's the minimum, but I'd turn those completely back so that way you have the most reactivity. And then this is up to you. Aim assist, I'd recommend putting it on disabled, just so you have the most control over your own aim. Gadget deployment advanced and drone deployment advanced as well. And the aim down sights is obviously up to you and what feels comfortable. Well, thank y'all for watching. I know this is a change from our usual Call of Duty videos, but I hope this helped you out, and please like and subscribe.